Bandara Airport early morning witness. Jungkook runs through the crowd and hugs Jimin. Their love is finally open. Jimin, don't get on that plane. The cry cut through the sterile hum of dawn at Bandara International like a gunshot. Heads turned. Conversations halted mid-word. The clatter of wheels on tiled floors faltered. And then, through the throng of bleary-eyed travelers and boarding calls echoing off glass walls, Jungkook broke into a dead sprint. His breath burned. His legs pounded against the floor. Security shouted, but he didn't stop. He couldn't. Not now. Not when Jimin's figure was already halfway down the jet bridge, about to disappear into the steel belly of Flight 701. Outside, the sky was soft with fog, pinked by the early sun, casting a muted light on the moment that would later become 100 blurry videos on social media, a trending tag, and for many, a beginning. But for Jungkook, it was an end if he didn't reach him. The crowd gasped when Jungkook vaulted over the velvet rope and burst past the boarding gate. He didn't care that cameras were on him, didn't care that this might be the end of his career, didn't care that the label would call him reckless, impulsive, too emotional. All he cared about was the man whose silhouette was just a few steps ahead. "Jimin," he yelled again, voice cracking. Jimin turned slowly, his eyes wide, lips parted in disbelief. And then, in front of strangers, cameras, and the world, Jungkook dropped his bag, wrapped his arms around him, and pulled him in. The hug wasn't polished. It was desperate, raw, trembling. Jimin clutched back with the same urgency, eyes glistening. "I was hoping you'd stop me," he whispered against Jungkook's shoulder. "I should have never let you go," Jungkook rasped. The gate agent stood frozen, mouth agape. People stared. Someone's phone beeped, recording. A child asked their mother why the boy was crying. But none of it mattered. Because after years of stolen glances, cryptic lyrics, and rehearsed denials, this was real. And they were tired of hiding. The flashbacks came in fragments. The empty dressing room in Osaka, where Jimin had first told him, voice barely above a breath, "I think I love you." The silence that followed, the years of pretending, the fear of destroying what they had built with the rest of the group, the endless dance between what they felt and what the world demanded of them. And last night, Jimin's voice shaking as he stood by the window, suitcase by his side. "I can't live like this anymore, Jungkook. It's killing me. I'm going to Paris. I have to. Try to forget." And Jungkook, too afraid, too frozen, letting him walk out the door. Until now. Now, everything else was noise. Their bodies fit as if sculpted for this one moment. Jungkook's fingers in Jimin's hair. Jimin's hands clutching the back of Jungkook's jacket like it was the only thing anchoring him to the earth. "You don't have to forget," Jungkook whispered. "You just have to stay." Tears slipped down Jimin's cheeks. His lips trembled. He laughed softly, bitter and relieved all at once. "You always do this," he said, voice tight. "Wait until the very last moment." "I was scared," Jungkook admitted, "but not loving you scares me more." A long beat passed, heavy with history. Then Jungkook pulled back just enough to look him in the eyes. "If we do this, it won't be easy," he said. "They'll come for us, the media, the fans, the industry." "I know," Jimin said, nodding, "but I'd rather live one day in truth than a lifetime in silence." A murmur ran through the terminal. Phones buzzed. Guards approached. But Jungkook held Jimin's hand like a lifeline, their fingers interlaced, unshakable. This wasn't a moment meant for hiding. It was a declaration. Love, raw, defiant, and unstoppable. "Then come home with me," Jungkook said. Jimin smiled, still tearful. "Lead the way." And as they turned, hand in hand, facing the uncertain world together, something shifted. In the eyes of the onlookers, in the lens of every recording phone, in the morning light that now poured through the windows like revelation. The truth was out. And they were ready for whatever came next. "You have 5 minutes to explain yourself before I walk out of here and never come back." The hotel suite was quiet, too quiet, except for the low hum of the minibar fridge and the furious thud of Jimin's heartbeat. Jungkook stood across from him, breathless, drenched in the sweat of adrenaline and panic. The door had just slammed behind them, cutting off the chaos of the airport, the questions, the fans, the paparazzi. Jimin, 5 minutes, Jimin snapped, voice sharp like broken glass. Start talking. Jungkook's chest rose and fell. His mind raced. This wasn't how he imagined it. He thought the hug, the kiss of warmth in the cold airport terminal, the tremor in their hands, had bought them peace, at least for tonight. But Jimin's eyes were wild, cornered, full of 1,000 unspoken fears. I didn't stop you last night because I was afraid, Jungkook said, voice low. But I ran this morning because I couldn't live with the silence anymore. Too late, Jimin laughed bitterly, packing toward the window. You always show up when the damage is done. His voice cracked. You said nothing when I begged you to say something, anything. And now the entire world has footage of you hugging me like it's a goddamn K-drama finale. Jungkook took a slow step forward. Because I couldn't let you disappear. But you already let me, Jimin spun, pointing a trembling finger at him. Every time I reached for you and you looked away. Every time I thought maybe you'd stay over after rehearsal and you left. Every time you touched me in the dark and then acted like nothing happened in the light. Because I was scared. Jungkook's voice rose for the first time, hot with guilt. Scared of what it would do to the group, to the fans, to you. God, Jimin, you have no idea how much I wanted you. Every night, every day. But I thought I'd ruin everything if I let it show. Jimin blinked fast, eyes wet. You did ruin it, just not in the way you think. A beat of silence stretched between them. Jungkook crossed the room slowly. Then tell me what to do now. Tell me how to fix it. Jimin looked up at him, lip trembling. You can't just fix something that's been breaking for years. And then, do you know how many nights I've spent wondering if you ever thought of me the same way I thought of you? Wondering if I was just a secret you wanted to keep locked in some hotel room. Jungkook reached for him, but Jimin stepped back. I loved you, Jeon Jungkook. I still do. And that's what makes this all so goddamn painful. Suddenly, Jungkook dropped to the floor, not out of drama, but as if his legs simply gave out. I can't lose you, he whispered. Not now. The sound of his voice, small, broken, made Jimin's throat tighten. Then came a knock. 3, sharp, deliberate. Jimin's eyes widened. No one knows we're here, he whispered. Jungkook was already moving, placing a finger over his lips. He crossed to the door silently, looked through the peephole. His face paled. It's Min Hyunjae, he said, from the label. Jimin's blood ran cold. Shit. They both knew what this meant. Damage control. Exposure. Contracts. Termination. Jungkook opened the door. Hyunjae stepped in, heels clicking like gunshots, trench coat pristine despite the storm outside. So, she folded her arms, this is what we're doing now. Close the door, Jungkook said. I am the door now, she replied icily. And let me be clear, you've blown it wide open. Jimin stood frozen. How bad is it? Hyunjae turned to him, her expression softening, just for a moment. It's viral. Your names are trending in 6 countries. The footage is everywhere. Headlines vary between romantic and scandalous. One tabloid, calling it a career suicide pact. Jungkook's fists clenched. Let them say what they want. No, Hyunjae said flatly. You don't understand. The board is already in emergency meetings. Sponsors are panicking. There's a chance the entire comeback gets shelved. Jimin looked down. His knees felt weak. Then let it burn, Jungkook said quietly. Hyunjae blinked. Excuse me. If being honest costs us everything, then it wasn't worth having in the first place, he said. I'm done lying. There was a long silence. Then Jimin, voice cracking. And what about the others? You think they're just collateral? Jungkook turned to him. We talked to them, all of them, tonight. Tonight? Yes, his eyes blazed with conviction. I'll look every one of them in the eye and tell them exactly what I feel. About you, about everything. Jimin stared at him. the chaos swirling around them like a storm. And then quietly he said, "Okay." Hyunjae scoffed. "You boys really don't get it. You think this is just about a hug, a kiss. No, this is about power, control. If they can't control your story, they'll destroy it." "Then we tell our own story," Jungkook replied. Hyunjae's phone buzzed. She glanced at it. Her face went pale. "What now?" Jimin asked. She looked up. "There's a leak," she said. "Something bigger." "What do you mean?" Hyunjae hesitated, then slowly showed them the screen. A still image. Jimin, alone in a hotel room, crying. The caption read, "Behind closed doors, the hidden pain of Park Jimin, leaked footage sparks mental health concerns." Jimin's breath caught in his throat. That was from 2 years ago," he whispered. When I had the panic attacks, who the hell?" "Someone's digging," Hyunjae said grimly. "Someone who wants to destroy both of you." Jungkook stepped closer, jaw tight. "Then let them come. We won't hide anymore." But Jimin, he was already spiraling. His mind flooded with images, his mother seeing the video, his father's cold stare, the betrayal of someone leaking something so intimate. "What if I'm not strong enough for this?" he whispered. Jungkook cupped his face gently, forcing him to look up. "Then I'll be strong for both of us." And in that moment, the noise of the world faded. There was just the two of them. Still breathing. Still here. Still in love. But outside, war was coming. "You both better explain yourselves, now." Namjoon's voice came through the speakerphone like a loaded gun cocking. Jimin sat frozen on the edge of the hotel bed, Jungkook packing behind him like a caged animal. The screen on the coffee table glared with the image of the group's private video call. Namjoon, Yoongi, Jin, Hoseok, Taehyung. All awake at 3:17 a.m., their faces tight with worry, betrayal, and something more dangerous. Fear. Jimin reached for the phone with trembling hands. "Hyung, I." "No," Yoongi's voice was like ice. "You don't start, he does." All eyes turned to Jungkook. He stopped packing. He looked like a man seconds from drowning. "I didn't mean for it to happen this way," Jungkook said, breathless. "But I'm not sorry it did." Taehyung narrowed his eyes. "You hugged him in front of 200 people and a dozen cameras. You kissed his cheek, in public, at an international airport." "And I'd do it again," Jungkook shot back. "Then you're even dumber than I thought," Yoongi snapped. "Do you even realize what this means for us? We had a global comeback scheduled in 3 weeks." "Do you think I wanted to tank everything we built?" Jungkook's voice cracked. "I didn't plan this, but when I saw him walking away, I broke." "Then break in private," Namjoon hissed. "Not on CNN." Jimin finally found his voice, soft but firm. "Stop yelling at him. If you want to blame someone, blame me. I was the one trying to leave." "Yeah," Jin said, arms folded. "And now none of us can." There was a heavy silence. Jimin's stomach churned. Taehyung leaned forward, his tone low, deadly serious. "Is it real?" Jimin blinked. "What?" "Between you two. Is it real? Or is this just a phase, a mistake, some desperate midnight mess you'll regret next week?" Jungkook looked at Jimin, who looked back. "It's real," they both said. A pause. Then Hoseok, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke. "I always knew," he said softly. "I just didn't think you'd actually risk everything for it." "You mean throw everything away for it?" Yoongi muttered. "Don't talk like that," Jimin snapped, suddenly burning. "Don't act like we betrayed you. We're still us, I'm still me." "You're not," Namjoon said bitterly. "None of us are now." The call ended with no resolution. Just a screen gone black, and the echo of words that couldn't be taken back. Jungkook sank onto the bed beside Jimin, head in his hands. "We just detonated a bomb," he muttered. "No," Jimin said, touching his shoulder. "We just lit a fuse. The explosion hasn't come yet." And it came, faster than they expected. Within hours, the story broke wide open. K-pop idols caught in secret romance, global fanbase divided. Inside the scandal, Jeon Jungkook and Park Jimin's forbidden love. BTS at risk. Sponsors threaten pullout after public display of affection. Jimin scrolled through the headlines, each word a dagger. There were hashtags calling for their protection, others demanding their removal. Fangcams spliced together moments from years of footage, glances, touches, off-script smiles, and labeled it proof. But proof of what? Love or betrayal? And then came the death threats. Direct messages flooded in. You ruined everything. You used us. We made you, and now we'll destroy you. Jungkook grabbed the phone from Jimin's hands, deleting them faster than they could appear. No more, he said. Don't look at any of it. You think I haven't seen worse? Jimin asked hollowly. You shouldn't have to see it at all. They were interrupted by a knock. Again. Hyunjae. This time, her face wasn't angry, it was pale. We have a bigger problem, she said, stepping inside and locking the door behind her. Jungkook stood. What now? She opened her tablet, showed them a video, silent footage. A grainy clip, security cam angle. Jimin. Kissing Jungkook's neck. From 3 months ago. Where did this come from? Jimin whispered, his throat tightening. Hyunjae's lips were thin. Someone been keeping receipts, and they're not done. There's more. A lot more, she said. Messages, voicemails, photos from hotel corridors, someone building a case, and they want you ruined, both of you. Jungkook looked at Jimin. Do you think it's someone from the inside? Jimin didn't answer. But his mind raced. Because he knew exactly who might want to hurt him. Exactly who had access. Exactly who had once whispered in his ear, I hope you remember who your real friends are, Jimin. He had brushed it off. But now, that voice came back with chilling clarity. He didn't say the name aloud. He couldn't. Not yet. Hyunjae leaned in. You want to survive this. You go on camera, together. You tell your truth before they weaponize it against you. Jimin flinched. You mean, come out. I mean take control of your story before it gets shredded. Jungkook was silent, then nodded. We'll do it. Jimin's heart thudded. It was one thing to love in private. Another to be exposed. But this was war. And now, there was no going back. The red recording light blinked once. Then again. And then it was live. Jungkook could hear the blood rushing in his ears louder than the silence set around them. No stylists, no makeup, no managers, no label representatives, just them, 2 chairs, 2 microphones, and a camera broadcasting directly to millions of people across the world. Jimin sat beside him, lips pressed into a thin line, hands buried in his sleeves. He hadn't said much all morning, hadn't eaten, hadn't slept. His eyes were raw, voice hoarse. But when the countdown started from behind the glass of the booth, 5, 4, 3, 2. He lifted his head. Jungkook leaned into the mic. Hi, he began, voice steady despite the tremor he felt underneath. I'm Jungkook. Jimin exhaled. And I'm Jimin. A pause. Silence stretched like a blade. We know why you're watching this, Jungkook said. We know what everyone's been saying. Some of it is true, Jimin added. Some of it's not, but we didn't come here to clear our names. We came to tell the truth. Jungkook looked at him. Go ahead. Jimin swallowed. I fell in love with my best friend, slowly, painfully, and in silence. Jungkook's hand twitched on the armrest. I didn't plan to, Jimin continued. We never wanted to lie, but we were scared. Scared of the fans turning on us. Scared of the industry turning its back. Scared of losing everything we built because of something so human. Jungkook spoke next, voice low but charged. I loved him back, for years, and I hated myself for it, because I thought it made me weak, because I thought it made me selfish, because I thought if I admitted it, I'd lose everything. He turned toward the camera. But today, I'm done hiding. Jimin looked at him, startled. I'm in love with Park Jimin, Jungkook said clearly. I've been in love with him since we were 21. I've written songs about him. I've watched him fall asleep next to me and prayed the morning wouldn't come. I've walked away 100 times when all I wanted was to stay. And now I'm done running. The silence was deafening. Jimin's breath hitched. He turned slightly, his voice barely above a whisper. You weren't supposed to say it like that. Jungkook smiled faintly, eyes wet. No more waiting for the right moment. Then Jimin reached out and took his hand. For a brief moment, the entire world stopped. And then it exploded. The comments section beneath the live feed detonated with reactions, tears, fury, shock, joy, heartbreak. A galaxy of love and hate all colliding in real time. Some messages begged them to reconsider. Others praised them as heroes. Others were venom. But the worst was yet to come. In the middle of the live stream, as Jimin prepared to speak again, a push notification flashed across the screen of Jungkook's phone. He glanced at it, then froze. What is it? Jimin asked. Jungkook's voice was hollow. It's a post from my brother. Jimin blinked. Your what? Jungkook stood abruptly, grabbed the phone, turned the screen toward him. The caption was in bold white text across a photo of Jungkook as a teenager. The truth behind my brother's lies. What you don't know about Jeon Jungkook. Jimin's heart dropped. He snatched the phone, reading quickly. The post was long, unfiltered, and brutal. Accusations. Claims that Jungkook had manipulated those around him for years. That the relationship was a PR stunt, a calculated move for sympathy. That Jimin was being used. It was filled with old stories twisted into something unrecognizable. Childhood arguments, family drama, teenage fights repackaged as toxic patterns. Jungkook sat down hard, like the air had been knocked out of him. He never forgave me, he said quietly. When I left Busan, when I left them all behind, he said I turned my back on the family. Jimin looked at him, helpless. This is personal. They'll believe him because it's personal. And now it's public, Jungkook said, voice breaking. He gave them a new weapon. The live stream continued, but neither of them could speak. And then the call came. Hyunjai's voice was tight, urgent. Jungkook, pull the live stream. I can't. Then brace yourself, there's more. Jimin grabbed the phone. What do you mean? I just got confirmation, she said grimly. Someone from inside the label leaked your private therapy logs, Jimin. Jimin felt like he'd been punched. What logs? The sessions from 2021, when you were on medical leave. Jimin stared into nothing. They're calling it a breakdown, Hyunjai said. They're painting you as unstable. They're saying Jungkook took advantage of your mental health. He couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Jungkook turned toward him, eyes wild. We can shut it down, we can fight this. But Jimin shook his head, almost dazed. I told things in that room I never told anyone else, he whispered. Things about my father, about the night I tried to. He stopped. Jungkook's hand clutched his. It's not just a scandal now, Jimin said. It's a massacre. They ended the live stream. Not with a goodbye. Just blackness. Hours passed in silence. Neither of them moved. The hotel room was dark. The rain outside painted slow trails down the windows. Every headline was another nail in the coffin. Every ping of the phone a threat disguised as curiosity. Jimin's phone buzzed on the nightstand, again and again. And then it stopped, followed by one final message. Check your inbox. You think this is over. I haven't even started. It was anonymous. But Jimin knew the voice behind it. Knew the person. Knew the betrayal. He turned toward Jungkook. It's Taehyung, he said flatly. He's the one leaking everything. And Jungkook, pale with disbelief, whispered, No, that can't be. But it was. And the war had only just begun. The suite was deathly quiet, except for the slow drip of the bathroom tap and the harsh rhythm of Jimin's breath. Jungkook hadn't spoken in the last 20 minutes. He sat by the minibar, head buried in his hands, shaking. Jimin stared at the message on his phone again. Not just the threat, But the proof, screenshots, file paths, audio clips, all of it traced back to a single drive one Taehyung had access to. The footage, the therapy logs, even the hotel surveillance, layered under layers of metadata but traceable. Jimin's voice broke the silence. He used my pain as currency. Jungkook looked up slowly, eyes red. We don't know for sure. Jimin snapped his head toward him. Don't. No, listen, Jimin, he couldn't. Jungkook stood, panic rising. This is T, he's our brother. Jimin's laugh was sharp. Our brother who's been smiling in our faces and gutting us from the inside, who's watched us collapse and decided it was a good day for revenge. You don't know the whole story. I know enough, Jimin bit out. I know what I saw. I know that it was him who warned me 2 years ago to remember who my real friends were. I know that since the hug went viral, he's been eerily silent. And now suddenly, everything that could destroy us is getting leaked. By someone who has access to every private folder, every session file, every unguarded moment. Jungkook's voice dropped. He wouldn't destroy us. He already has. The doorbell rang. They both froze. Another knock, more urgent this time. Jungkook moved toward the door slowly. Who is it? He asked. A pause. Then, it's me. Taehyung's voice. Soft, calm, familiar. Jimin stood rigid, his pulse spiked. Jungkook hesitated, hand on the lock, heart on the edge. Open the door, Taehyung said. Jungkook did. And there he was, standing in a black coat, umbrella dripping rain onto the hallway carpet, a cigarette burning between his fingers. His hair was damp, his eyes bloodshot, but his expression, serene, as if he hadn't just torn their world apart. You got my message, didn't you? He asked Jimin directly. Jimin's jaw clenched. You son of a bitch. I deserve that, Taehyung said, stepping inside uninvited. I deserve worse. Jungkook shut the door behind him, tense. What the hell is going on? I need to explain. You need, Jimin spat. What you need is a lawyer. I didn't do it to destroy you, Taehyung said, turning to face them. I did it to force the truth out. Jungkook blinked. What? You two were bleeding silently, Taehyung said. Dying slowly from the inside, for years. The hiding, the shame, the guilt, it was eating you alive. And all of us too. Every member could feel the tension. No one talked about it, but it was poisoning everything. Jimin stared at him, disbelieving. You leaked my therapy records to help me. I leaked the hug first, Taehyung said. Not the rest, that came after, that was someone else. Jungkook's voice cut in sharp. Who? Taehyung paused. Yoongi. Silence. Jimin sat down slowly. No, I don't believe you. I saw him pull the files, Taehyung said. I confronted him. He didn't deny it. He said if the group was going down, it should go down with dignity. He called it a preemptive reset. Said it was time to cleanse the legacy. Jungkook's knees gave out. He slid down the wall. What the fuck is happening? Taehyung walked to the center of the room, laid the umbrella down like an offering. I leaked the hug. I leaked the audio of you two from rehearsals. I wanted it to go public. I wanted you to be forced to face it, to own it. I thought maybe it would free you. Jimin's voice was like a blade. You played God with our lives. Taehyung looked broken for the first time. And I was wrong. Jungkook looked up hollow. Do the others know? Taehyung shook his head. Not yet, but they will. What happens when they find out? Everything burns. The silence that followed was thick and unbearable. The rain outside had turned violent, thrashing against the windows like waves. Jimin stood, walked to the bar, poured himself a drink with shaking hands. He downed it in one go. Then looked at Taehyung. You want to help? Then give us everything, every file, every source, every breadcrumb you have on Yoongi or anyone else who's trying to finish what you started. Taehyung nodded. It's already in your inbox. Jimin turned to Jungkook. What do we do now? Jungkook stared out the window, the skyline blurred by the downpour. We go live again, he said. But this time we don't just confess love. Jimin narrowed his eyes. Then what? We declare war. Taehyung inhaled deeply. I'll stand with you. Jimin looked him dead in the eyes. You already chose a side. Pray it was the right one. Outside, the city flickered with stormlight. Inside, 3 men prepared for war. Not just for love, but for truth, for survival, and for the soul of everything they once called family. You're sure this is the only copy? Jimin asked, scrolling through the encrypted folder Taehyung had delivered only hours ago. He sat cross-legged on the floor, face lit by the cold glow of his laptop screen, chest rising and falling with practiced calm. But his knuckles were white against the keyboard. Taehyung nodded from the couch, hands clasped between his knees. The only one I had, everything Yoongi accessed, everything I tracked, locations, login timestamps, his burner accounts. He's been planning this for months. Jungkook stood by the window, watching the press vans pile up down below, like vultures circling a fresh kill. I trusted him, he said quietly. He was the one who used to hold my hair when I threw up from anxiety. He was the one who stayed up all night in Tokyo when Jimin locked himself in the bathroom. People change, Taehyung muttered. Or maybe they don't. Maybe they just take longer to show you who they've always been. Jimin looked up, eyes burning. Why now? Why betray us now? Taehyung exhaled, slow and deliberate. Because he thinks we betrayed him. He thinks we made it about us. That we turned the group into our personal confessional. He believes the legacy is collapsing because of our love story. And maybe he's not entirely wrong, Jungkook murmured, still staring out the window. Jimin's voice was sharp. Don't do that. Do what? Turn this into guilt, Jimin said. He had a choice. He could have talked to us, confronted us. Instead, he tried to annihilate us from the shadows. The hotel phone rang. None of them moved. Taehyung's eyes met Jungkook's. Pick it up. Jungkook walked over and lifted the receiver slowly. Hello. There was static for a moment. Then a familiar voice, cold and clinical. I figured you knew by now. Jungkook's grip tightened. Yoongi. I didn't want it to be like this. Jungkook laughed, bitter and breathless. Could have fooled me. I gave you so many chances, Jungkook. I begged you to think, to consider the weight of your choices. But you didn't just fall, you dragged the rest of us with you. It was never your story to control, Jungkook snapped. I built this with you, Yoongi hissed. I bled for this. I sacrificed everything to protect it. And we did. Jimin's voice rang out behind Jungkook, sharp enough that Yoongi must have heard it through the receiver. Yoongi was quiet for a moment. You should have kept it quiet, he finally said. You should have protected what we had. Instead, you made it about you, about the drama. You mean we stopped being your puppets? Jimin snarled. That what you mean, Haeyoung? You broke the pact. What pact? Jungkook demanded. The one where we all suffer in silence while pretending to be untouchable, where we die a little every year just to keep fans believing in a version of us that never really existed. Yoongi's voice dropped. You can't save this. I've seen the contracts. They're pulling endorsements. The Japan tour's already frozen. Then let them freeze, Jimin said. Yoongi's next words were like a blade. If you think this is bad now, wait until the fans turn. Wait until the threats get real. You think you're scared now? Wait until they start talking about your families. Jungkook's stomach twisted. You wouldn't, he whispered. I don't have to, Yoongi said. They already are. The line went dead. Jungkook dropped the phone as if it had burned him. Taehyung stood. We need to go. Where? Underground for now, he said. Somewhere off-grid, no phones, no press, I know a place. Jeju. Jimin hesitated. We run. We regroup, Taehyung said. We stay ahead, Yoongi's playing chess. We can't keep playing checkers. They packed in minutes. No makeup, no disguises. Just themselves. Raw, bruised, bracing for the storm. The car ride to the airstrip was silent, except for the radio, muted but still audible. And in global entertainment news, a new development in the unfolding BTS crisis, with sources claiming a breach of medical confidentiality and internal group conflict. Jimin turned it off. He stared out the window, the lights of Seoul shrinking behind them, each one like a memory being extinguished. Taehyung leaned forward from the backseat. "I need to tell you something else." Jungkook turned. "What now?" It wasn't just Yoongi. Jimin's blood went cold. "Don't say it." Taehyung hesitated. Namjoon knew. Jungkook's face twisted. "That's not possible. Namjoon, he defended us." "He didn't leak anything," Taehyung said, "but he didn't stop it either. He watched us get torn apart." Taehyung nodded. "And he let it happen, said if the group couldn't survive the truth, then maybe it didn't deserve to." The plane was waiting. A small, private jet on a dark runway. They boarded without words. And as the engines roared and the cabin lifted, Jungkook reached for Jimin's hand. "Tell me this doesn't end here." Jimin squeezed his fingers. "It can't, not yet." They didn't know what waited for them in Jeju. Only that they had to live long enough to fight back. Because the story wasn't over. And the truth wasn't finished bleeding. Jeju was silent. Too silent for men who had lived their lives under stadium lights and screaming fans. The coastal air carried the scent of salt and pine, and the sea, a dull silver beneath clouded skies, stretched endlessly like a promise not yet broken. The cabin Taehyung brought them to was small, half buried in a thicket of wind-sculpted trees, and miles from any tourist trail. It had one working stove, patchy reception, and no mirrors. Taehyung had smashed them all. "I'm tired of reflections that don't look like me," he'd said. They stayed off the grid for 6 days. On the 3rd day, Namjoon showed up. No warning, no text, just the sound of gravel crunching under tired boots and a knock that wasn't violent but final. Jungkook opened the door. They stared at each other. Brothers who had once written lyrics side by side, now facing each other like opposing sides of a revolution. Namjoon looked thinner, or maybe just older. His hoodie was damp, his hands were empty. Jimin came to the door second. His gaze was distant, but not cold. "Come in," he said. Namjoon sat at the small kitchen table, fingers clasped together, and said nothing for almost 2 minutes. Then, "Yoongi's gone." Jimin's heart dropped. "What do you mean?" "He disappeared, turned off his phone, pulled his bank accounts, even left a note with the label resignation. He doesn't want to fight anymore." "And the damage?" Jungkook asked. Namjoon looked up, dark eyes steady. "Already done. Sponsors withdrew. Our Japan deal is dead. Half the fandom's divided. The rest are watching to see who survives." "And you?" Taehyung asked from the doorway. "I don't care about the music anymore," Namjoon said. "Not if it costs us each other." The silence was different now. Not tension. Grief. Exhaustion. Relief. Namjoon pulled out a hard drive from his jacket and set it on the table. "I saved what I could. The footage, the original logs, proof of tampering, timelines. It's enough to clear Jimin, maybe even turn public opinion." Jimin stared at it. "Why now?" Namjoon met his gaze. "Because watching you two fight the world made me realize I already lost something more important than the music. I lost us." Jungkook didn't speak. He simply stepped forward, wrapped his arms around Namjoon, and held him for a long, silent moment. They didn't say, "I forgive you." Some things are deeper than forgiveness. By the end of the week, they left Jeju. Not to run, but to return. The press were waiting, of course. Cameras flashing like fireworks, reporters shouting accusations like bullets. But this time, Jimin didn't flinch. Jungkook didn't bow his head. They walked through it together, hands clasped. Taehyung and Namjoon just behind them. The world had tried to burn them. But they had become fireproof. The documentary aired a month later, Truth Notes, the fall and rise of two voices. It didn't plead. It didn't defend. It simply showed the love, the pain, the betrayals, the quiet strength of choosing honesty in a world addicted to illusions. Some fans never returned. But many did. and many more joined for the first time, not because of perfection, but because of truth. Jimin and Jungkook didn't go back to the band immediately. The group decided, for the first time in a decade, to breathe, to live, to grow without choreography. One evening, months later, Jimin sat at a rooftop overlooking Seoul, the wind ruffling his hair, guitar in his lap. Jungkook lay beside him on the blanket, eyes closed, fingers brushing the edge of Jimin's knee. "Do you regret it?" Jimin asked quietly. Jungkook opened one eye. "What? Loving you?" Jimin smiled. "Never." A plane passed overhead. Somewhere someone was boarding. Somewhere someone was running. But here, now they were still. Still in love. Still standing. And finally free.